There exists a specific, perilous threshold in the journey of every intuitive person where the weight of external emotions becomes a poison rather than a gift. You likely know the sensation of entering a crowded space and instantly absorbing a grief that isn't yours. You carry these heavy invisible anchors of other people's trauma as if you were born to suffer under their mass. It is vital you understand this. You aren't broken, and you aren't imagining this spiritual drain. You are a rare beacon of awareness, but that very luminosity is currently being hunted. When your internal spirit radiates with authentic power, it doesn't just attract admirers, it draws in those who wish to extinguish your fire to fuel their own coldness. Your subconscious mind, in its natural pursuit of psychic equilibrium, pulls in the exact opposite of your essence. You, as a vessel of empathy, naturally pull in those who have lost their way in the dark. This isn't a social accident, it is a dangerous form of energetic trade. Most highly sensitive people were forced into this role as a defense during their earliest years. You learn to read the air, to scan for danger in a parent's eye, or to soak up the turbulence of a chaotic home just to survive. Your nervous system became a radar, and your heart turned into a sponge. What was once a survival tactic has now become your primary identity, and because of this identity, you have become a magnet for the archetype of the taker. I'm not talking about mere vanity or simple ego. I am describing a cosmic predator, a figure who has completely severed their connection to their own internal light. Where you feel everything, they have chosen to feel nothing. Where you provide infinite support, they demand total submission. You are the fuel that allows the empty to ignore their own void. They are not drawn to you for love, but for psychic compensation. The hidden laws of the psyche demand a balancing act, and so the ungrounded healer inadvertently summons the shadow parasite. This isn't bad luck, it's a deep, unconscious reenactment of an ancient struggle between the giver and the thief. But this connection will destroy you unless you wake up to the truth. You might think your mission is to fix their fractured soul or to love them until they are whole again. That isn't kindness. It is a form of egoic attachment. It is the trap of the martyr who believes their pain is their purpose. The real threat isn't your sensitivity. It is how much you define yourself by your willingness to bleed for others. The predator feeds on your need to be the savior. They aren't always conscious villains, but they are starving for the vitality they refuse to cultivate in themselves. You become a living mirror they eventually learn to hate because you show them what they lack. As you sacrifice your boundaries to keep them comfortable, your own spirit begins to wither. You see it in your sleep, dreams of being trapped, of losing your voice, or of endless mazes with no doors. Your soul is screaming for an exit. Choosing to leave isn't an act of malice, it is an act of self-preservation. Reclaiming your energy isn't a betrayal of them, it is the first real act of loyalty to yourself. Your light wasn't given to you to be eaten, it was given to you to illuminate your own path. Empathy without offense is just a slow form of suicide. Loving without a filter is just a trauma response. Healing others while your own house is on fire isn't spiritual, it's just exhaustion. True growth requires you to stop looking into their eyes and start looking into your own. You must confront the part of you that craves to be needed. You must face the fear of being selfish that keeps you tethered to people who drain you. Only when you see your own shadow, the part of you that stays in toxic loops because it fears being alone, can you finally break the chain. If you are constantly depleted after interacting with someone, that isn't a personality clash. It is your soul warning you of a leak. Your body is the most honest thing you own. Stop trying to think your way out of a feeling that is clearly telling you to run. You aren't too sensitive. You are being submerged in a sea of someone else's unworked baggage. The most dangerous lie you believe is that your extra effort will eventually change them. The predator only changes when the supply vanishes. They don't wake up because you love them more. They wake up when you are no longer there to absorb their consequences. But your childhood programming told you that being useful was the only way to be safe. You became a peacekeeper because you didn't have a choice. But now, as an adult, you do. The world doesn't need you to be a doormat. It needs you to be a sovereign being. The belief that you only matter if you are helping is the bars of your own cage. Until you break that thought, you will keep inviting in the hungry ghosts who smile while they take your peace. You must learn a love that has a backbone, a love that says, I will not set myself on fire to keep you warm. That is the only love that actually transforms the world. The tragedy is that many empaths lose their own face while trying to be everything for everyone else. They edit their words, hide their truth, and shrink their power until they disappear. This is the ultimate warning. If you don't return to your own center, life will force you back there through a total collapse. Dreams are mashed for pain and unspoken dreams. Your job is to be the librarian, not the book that gets torn apart. Transformation happens when you stop seeking validation from those who are incapable of giving it. No more calling a trauma bond a soulmate. No more calling self-sacrifice a virtue. We don't need more tired martyrs. We need people who are fully alive and fiercely protective of their spirit. Real discernment is having the guts to say no when your gut says no. It is the realization that your energy is a sacred resource, not a public utility. If you let your well go dry, you have nothing left for the world or yourself. You were never too much. You just gave your pearls to those who could only see them as pebbles. This is the moment your empathy turns from a curse into a weapon of clarity. The world isn't full of monsters, but it is full of wounded people who will use you as a bandage if you let them. You now know your worth. Balance means learning the power of no. It means realizing that your endurance isn't a measure of your love. This is the start of your real life, the path of returning home to yourself. You have to face the terror of being seen as unkind by those who used to benefit from your silence. That fear is just an old ghost. How much longer will you pay for a peace that leaves you in pieces? How many more nights will you waste fixing problems you didn't start? Your sensitivity is a compass. Make sure it's pointing at your own heart. When an empath finally wakes up, the game ends. They stop explaining themselves to people who aren't listening. They stop begging for a place at the table and start building their own kingdom. This is what the takers fear most, an empath with boundaries. Because a focused empath cannot be manipulated. They see through the charm and the fake tears. They stop confusing intensity with intimacy. Everything must now pass through the filter of your truth. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. And clarity is the highest form of love. Not everyone who knocks at your door is meant to be let in. Some come with beautiful stories just to gain access to your light. Others will love you only as long as you stay small and easy to manage. Your spirit is holy, it is not a charity. Even the greatest teachers knew when to walk away from the crowd. If you feel a pull towards someone, ask if it's a connection or a repetition of a childhood wound. Not every spark is a flame. Sometimes it's just a warning. You must become the guardian of your own heart that you never had. The final truth is that your own unhealed need to be the good one is your biggest liability. When you feed others with your very soul, you aren't being a saint, you're being a victim. Stop writing the same story of depletion. Start a new chapter where you are a vessel for truth, not a sponge for pain. Your light should burn steady, not flicker until it's gone. Your purpose isn't to save people from themselves, it's to show that wholeness is possible by being whole yourself. Empath, your gift is your vision. You see what is hidden. Now, use that sight to see your own value. Protect your energy. Honor your no. Your presence is a gift, but it is no longer a buffet for the hungry. You are not the cure for everyone else's darkness. You are a sovereign soul, finally coming home to yourself. To understand the depth of this homecoming, we must look at the psychological landscape of the empathic mind. It is a terrain filled with vast oceans of feeling, where every ripple from the outside world creates a tidal wave within. This internal sensitivity is not a mistake of nature. It is a highly specialized evolutionary trait that allows for deep communal bonding and the healing of collective fractures. However, when this trait is disconnected from the logic of the self, it becomes a liability. Imagine a house with no walls, situated in the middle of a bustling city. Every stranger who passes by can walk into your living room, leave their trash, shout their grievances, and steal your furniture. You would not call such a house generous. You would call it structurally unsound. Yet, this is exactly how many empaths live their internal lives. They mistake a lack of psychological walls for an abundance of spiritual love. They believe that by allowing everyone access to their core, they are performing a service to humanity. But a house with no walls cannot offer true shelter to anyone, not even its owner. You must build the walls so that the hearth inside can stay warm. The architecture of your boundaries is the only thing that will allow your empathy to remain a sustainable force. This involves a radical shift in how you view the word selfish. In our society, we are often taught that putting one's own needs first is a moral failing. For the empath, this teaching is a death sentence. You must learn that self-care is not a luxury, but a fundamental requirement for your survival. If you do not prioritize your own energy, you are effectively telling the universe that you do not value the life you have been given. This is the silent tragedy of the people pleaser. They spend their entire lives trying to be good while neglecting the only person they are truly responsible for. This neglect creates a deep, simmering resentment that eventually poisons even their most cherished relationships. You cannot truly love another person from a place of depletion. True love comes from an overflow of your own internal well-being. When you are full, your presence naturally blesses those around you without you having to do anything. But when you are empty, your attempts to help are actually a form of manipulation, a way to prove your worth so that you won't be abandoned. We must also discuss the role of the shadow in this dynamic. Carl Jung famously stated that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. For the empath, the darkness is often the hidden desire to be superior through suffering. There is a subtle, dangerous pride in being the one who feels more or gives more than everyone else. This is the shadow of the healer. It is the part of you that needs people to stay broken so that you can continue to be their savior. If everyone around you suddenly became whole and independent, who would you be? This question can be terrifying because it threatens the very foundation of your identity. You must be willing to let go of the identity of the wounded healer and embrace the identity of the whole human. This means allowing people to experience their own pain without rushing in to fix it. It means trusting that their soul has its own journey and its own lessons to learn. By constantly intervening, you are actually robbing them of their own growth. You are saying, in effect, that they are not strong enough to handle their own lives. This is not compassion. It is a form of spiritual condescension. To break free from these cycles, you must engage in a process of radical honesty. Look at your current relationships and ask yourself, what am I getting out of this drain? Often, the answer is a temporary relief from the fear of being alone or the fear of being seen as bad. You are trading your vital life force for a fleeting sense of security, but this security is an illusion. Any relationship that requires you to abandon yourself is not a relationship. It is a hostage situation. The moment you begin to speak your truth and set firm limits, you will see the true nature of the people around you. Those who truly love you will respect your boundaries and even celebrate your newfound strength. Those who were only there to feed on your light will react with anger, guilt-tripping, and manipulation. This reaction is the final proof that you were being used as a source of supply, not loved as a person. It is painful to see this reality, but it is the pain of a wound finally being cleaned. It is the only way to heal. As you move forward, you will find that your circle of friends may shrink, but the quality of your connections will grow exponentially. You will no longer be surrounded by people who leave you feeling like a hollow shell. Instead, you will attract those who reflect your own integrity and self-respect. You will find that you have more energy for your own creative pursuits, your own health, and your own spiritual practices. Your empathy will no longer be a chaotic storm that tosses you about. It will become a quiet, steady flame that guides your intuition. You will learn to discern the difference between a genuine request for help and an attempt to drag you into someone else's drama. You will learn that silence is often the most powerful response you can give. This is the path of the awakened empath, a path of power. presence, and profound peace. It is not an easy road, but it is the only one that leads to true freedom. You have been a lantern for everyone else's darkness for long enough. It is time to let your light shine for you. Consider the metaphor of the oxygen mask on an airplane. The instructions are always the same. Put on your own mask before assisting others. This is not because the airlines want you to be selfish. It is because if you pass out from a lack of oxygen, you are useless to the person sitting next to you. The world is currently in a state of hypoxia. There is a massive shortage of emotional and spiritual oxygen. As an empath, you feel this lack more than anyone. But your instinct to give away your oxygen before you have secured your own is precisely why you are struggling. You must breathe first. You must nourish your own soul first. You must ensure that your own connection to the divine is solid and unbreakable. Only then can you offer anything of real value to a starving world. The most radical thing you can do in a world that demands your constant attention and labor is to sit in silence and tend to your own garden. This is the true rebellion. This is how you reclaim your soul from the machinery of consumption and exploitation. The journey toward individuation is a journey toward wholeness. It is the process of integrating all the disparate parts of yourself, the light and the shadow, the giver and the taker, the strength and the vulnerability. For the empath, this means integrating the inner narcissist, not the destructive pathological version, but the healthy sense of self-interest that protects your well-being. It means learning to say, I matter, with the same conviction that you say, you matter. It means recognizing that your needs are just as valid as anyone else's. This integration is the key to psychological balance. Without it, you are a lopsided house, always leaning toward the needs of others until you eventually collapse. With it, you are a sturdy structure, capable of withstanding any storm. You are no longer a victim of your own sensitivity. You are the master of it. You use your gift to navigate the world with grace and wisdom, but you never let it be used as a weapon against you. You have learned the ultimate lesson, that the greatest gift you can give the world is your own radiant, healthy, and whole self. This realization brings a profound sense of relief. The heavy burden you have been carrying for so long, the burden of being the world's emotional caretaker, finally falls away. You realize that you don't have to carry the sun, you just have to let it shine through you. You stop trying to control the emotions of others and start focusing on the quality of your own internal state. You find that the more you honor yourself, the more the world honors you. The predators and the takers lose interest because there is no longer a hook for them to grab onto. Your boundaries are not walls of hate, but walls of love, love for yourself and for the integrity of your life. In this space of clarity, you find your true purpose. It is not to suffer. It is not to be a martyr. It is to be a living example of what it looks like to live in alignment with one's own truth. This is the message the world so desperately needs. It doesn't need more people who are dying to be liked. It needs people who are brave enough to be themselves. So, take a deep breath. Feel the air filling your lungs, providing you with the life-giving oxygen you need. Recognize that this breath belongs to you. It is yours to keep. You do not have to give it away to prove your worth. You are worthy simply because you exist. You are a sovereign soul, a unique expression of the universe, and you have every right to protect your peace. The old patterns of self-erasure are over. The days of being a sponge for the world's pain are finished. Today you choose a new path. You choose the path of the awakened empath. You choose to be a torch, not a lantern. You choose to be a vessel, not a buffet. You choose to come home to yourself where the light is always burning, steady and true. This is your birthright. This is your power. This is your truth. Welcome home. If this resonated with you, like this video and join us at Winds of Thought as we continue this journey of awakening. We are here to support you as you navigate this transition from a state of exhaustion to a state of empowerment. Remember, you are not alone in this. There is a whole community of sensitive souls who are waking up just like you. Together, we are redefining what it means to be empathic in the modern world. We are moving from the archetype of the wounded healer to the archetype of the awakened sage. Stay tuned for our next exploration into the depths of the human psyche, where we will continue to uncover the hidden truths that lead to liberation and wholeness. Your journey is just beginning, and the best is yet to come. Trust your intuition, honor your boundaries, and never apologize for the brilliance of your own light. You were born for this moment. Embrace it with every fiber of your being. You are the one you have been waiting for. The sovereign soul has returned. And so it is.